Chad Moyer with you here on the Rural Radio Network. It is time for our Fridays in the Field segment, and in Northeast Nebraska this year, we are headed to Pierce, Nebraska. We're following Aaron Zimmerman through the growing season here this year in Northeast Nebraska. Aaron, thanks for joining us here today. First of all, we have to introduce you, so tell us a little bit about you and your farming operation.
My brother Ryan and I are fourth generation farmers here in southwest Pierce County. We run approximately 2,300 acres of organic crop ground, which is recent to us.
So tell me, you were conventional farmers before, not that long ago, before you decided to go to organic. What was the thought process behind going with the organic side?
A lot of it was, there's certainly the economic aspect to it. The other thing was we just got tired of swimming in chemicals, and it kind of started bothering us. I guess if you want to look at food supply and whatnot, but that's just the direction we decided to go, and we haven't looked back.
Okay. So what was it like going from conventional to the transitional organic into, you've been organic for 2 years now? What was that process like?
Yeah, we've been certified organic for 2 years now, and so we had a 3-year transition. And it was terrifying. It's a school of hard knocks, and you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna do it again, and you're gonna figure out how to really do it. But all in all, we had some great help to make sure things went as smoothly as they possibly could.
Mm-hmm. So what crops did you decide to grow organically, and did you have a little of trial and error to find out what would grow well in these sands here in Pierce County?
We've had a little bit of trial and error. I think a lot of it is just getting it planted at the right time. Because we were good at doing corn and soybeans because that's what we knew. But when you start playing with barley and other crops, they're just different a little bit.
Yeah. So what is the lineup of crops for you this year?
So this year we've got corn, soybeans, field peas, and alfalfa.
Okay, so tell us, what have you been able to accomplish so far? How has spring planting gone for you guys here?
It's gone pretty good. We start later. It kind of seems like when the conventional guys are about finished up, that's when we get started, because you need the ground temps to be as warm as you can so that corn leaps out of the ground and has a good chance of competing with weeds. Mm-hmm. And so far so good. We're probably 2/3 done with corn right now. And so it's going well.
Okay, so tell me about how do you utilize cover crops, and you come back and plant into that. Tell me how that process works.
Well, that's an ongoing experiment. Traditionally, tillage and organics kind of go hand in hand. That's always been the way it's done. And I think properly placed tillage is probably a more adequate way of describing what you're trying to accomplish. We're using cover crops like behind here. You see we've got a hairy vetch rye mix that's getting ready to get chopped out, and then we're gonna disc it up and plant corn. We love the idea. There's a new concept of organic no-till that uses cover crops, and you roller crimp them down to basically make a thick thatch to shade out weeds. And there's a lot of variables in that are largely out of your control, but I think eventually we'd like to kind of get to that point where we can, whether it's intercropping or like that organic roller crimp concept of cover crops too. So.
All right, very good. So looking beyond planting now, how will you accomplish weed control in your organic system?
Weed control is largely about shade. Weeds don't like shade, so the quicker you can get that crop canopied, the better. And so that starts with fertility. And because if that corn's kind of lazy coming out of the ground, those weeds don't care. They're coming whether there's fertility there or not. So, in the meantime, once we we till it, then we plant, and then it kind of starts your rotary hoe passes to keep those little weeds that you can't hardly see. You keep those, you blow them up, and that dries out their little roots, and then it buys you time while your cash crop gets closer and closer to canopy. And then once the canopies, it's like anything else, you're safe and you don't got to worry about it.
Very good. Aaron, I think we've set the stage very well. Maybe just tell us what's kind of in the immediate future now for the operation. What are you working on here and over the next couple weeks?
So right now it's going to be chopping these big cover crops out and getting corn planting finished. And then it'll be just living in rotary hoes for a while. And then once the corn gets big enough, we'll switch to the cultivators. And then once obviously we'll see what the weather gives, but irrigation season's coming here pretty quick, so we'll spend the summer chasing pivots.
Yep. All right, very good. Aaron, thanks again so much for allowing us to follow you here this summer. Appreciate it very much.
You bet, Chad.
Again, we've been visiting with Aaron Zimmerman. He is from Pierce, Nebraska. He is our Fridays in the Field subject here this year from Northeast Nebraska, and we'll be following him in his organic operation throughout the summer here. This segment on the Rural Radio Network brought to you by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank.